Hello again. This is T. Michael Thomas filling in for the Mamleo family on Boston Praise Radio and TV. Today is a cold day. It's about 23 degrees out. With the wind, it's about 15. It's like almost like Chicago. But you could call in at 617-282-0685, 617-282-7794, or 617-265-2679. Miss Stephanie, who's a new addition to the People's Academy and some other things, but she will get into more detail because I don't want to butcher her stuff and say the wrong things. You know me. I'm capable of that real well. It wouldn't take a lot. But the Mamleo office is located on Quincy and Columbia. I'm sorry, we have a caller. Let me cut this out. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, sir. I wanted to say thank you, folks, for filling in. You're doing an exceptional job. The only problem I have is this, T. Michael, right? Whenever I have people filling in for me, my job security goes down. They do such a great job. You know, you can put yourself out of work by having fine people like and your guest hosted. Fantastic job you guys are doing. I really appreciate it. You guys are representing us well. And we're so happy to share the time, right, for such a worthy cause as the People's Academy and the topics that you're discussing this morning. Because I think it's important, right, that we work as a family, right, getting our message out there.
Of course. Thank you for providing the platform and the opportunity. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, it is available anytime. And as T. Michael says to me, a great show. I will be listening.
My own
back over to you. You all have a great show again. Thank you so much.
Well.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, be listening.
Yeah, so getting back to I was about to say the Mamleo office is located at Columbia Road and Seaver Street. I believe it's 60 Columbia Road. But they have put in a lot of work for many years as a BPD division, and a lot of times that we seem to think that they're not serving us. But I know personally, I remembered times when I needed a location and support to address certain community issues, and they provided the space free of charge because it was a community benefit. Think about that. Or if you have a certain issue, whether you're a police officer or not, you can go to them, you get good advice, good guidance, good information. So let us not forget the work that the Mamleo family has done for many years. And they do fight for the officers of BPD and in other locations. I have family members that are members, ex-members, because they're retired, as well as present members because they're on the job. And I know Larry and Willie and all those, Denise and everyone, they have done for many years, have done a lot of good work because I grew up, being around and seeing the different things, and they are a huge supporter, as well as I have to plug Brother Lou and Priscilla on the BG report. I have to plug them, and I know you're listening, Brother Lou. And Sister Priscilla. But so let's get back a little to the memorial piece, because this is something that's really personal to me, and why and what prompted me on creating this piece as a memorial, as a way to show that I understand their suffering and for their loss of their loved ones. So there are a lot of organizations that have been doing a lot of really good work, and Miss Stephanie is aggressively and doing a good job in reaching out to individuals to bring folks together to be part of this whole movement of recognition, and the mayor has offered for us to show the peace in City Hall, to have a celebration, and hopefully at the same time we can have a workshop for that day, a few, for maybe an hour or so, or whatever, half an hour, to make a few of the pieces to add to the base. So I'll let you chime in, Miss Stephanie. We are on the internet part of Boston Praise Radio and TV, the Ma'am Leo Show. So I will let Miss Stephanie chime in.
Yes, thank you, Team Michaels. Again, for those, my name is Miss Stephanie. I'm the founder of A to Z Talent, also well as Elevated Minds, and now a member of People's Academy. So, again, thank you for having me. So, in regards to the memorial piece, again, it's an opportunity for people to remember their lost ones that they have lost due to violence. Any type of violence. So it gives you a chance to have something that's always going to be around for you to represent your loved one. It could be mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, a friend, anyone who has been lost due to violence. And that's very broad. So we open it up to the whole community. And right now we're looking for concrete locations. So if you're out there and you have a location in the communities of Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, please reach out and let us know that you do have a location so that community members can come by the location and make the copper leaves to add on to the memorial piece. Again, this is something that's huge because it represents not only Boston but Massachusetts. So there's a couple of organizations I mentioned earlier that we reached out to and we're looking forward to collaborating with, which is the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, who we know have done a lot of work in the community and continue to do a lot of work in the community, supporting family members as well as community members who have lost loved ones due to violence. So we're excited about this memorial piece. Again, if you're looking to get involved and you actually want to participate, I'm giving out my phone number just for people who are very serious and who really want to get hands-on and want to find out when those locations are provided, how you can add on. My phone number again is 857-352-7277. Again, it's 857-352-7277. And I just want to piggyback on what T. Michael said and just said that the mayor has already gave his approval to make this happen. So how can we really make it big for the community? Like, we don't want to just place a memorial in City Hall. We want people to know that the community has put an effort to make this more extravagant than what it already is. So let's see how we can come together, make the copper leaves, present it in a way that it shows community support, and let the mayor know that we appreciate his actual approval of being in City Hall.
Just for clarity, the memorial piece will only be shown in City Hall temporarily, but its resting place, its home, will be in the community. So I understand individuals who are saying, well, all the incident has happened in our community. That will be the final resting place for us to have easy access to grieve, to celebrate however we so choose to deal with our loved ones being stolen. So it being shown in City Hall, it will help galvanize support that we could then be acknowledged finally for our loss. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. So for those of you who I know are saying to yourselves and to others, well, it didn't happen in City Hall and we got to get we're just being perfectly, it's just there temporarily, just for a celebration and a showing. Mm-hmm. Now, Miss Stephanie, how do you feel about the memorial piece when it leaves City Hall, when it leaves People's Academy's workshop, it's shown in City Hall? How do you feel of it being shown in other cities? What do you think?
Oh, I think that's extremely powerful. Like, that's extremely powerful that it starts at home and then we're spreading love to other cities. So it teaches community in such a wide variety of eyesight. Like, so we think about our community, we think about Boston, we think about Massachusetts, but now we're actually introducing something that we started to other states and other cities that's extremely, extremely powerful.
Yes.
And we definitely have to, you know, see how we can make that transition happen where it represents, again, not Massachusetts, but other states. And when you're bringing it, now we're talking about the United States of America. What a huge community. You know,
Right.
now we're giving opportunities to the United States of America. And that's huge for People's Academy, but it's also huge just for people.
Bringing them together.
Just bringing people together.
Because we have to be cognizant of something. The violence and the lives being stolen, it's in every city, in every state. So with Boston, City of Champions, you know, we have to put that out there with our sports teams, etc. You know, we have to just gloat a little. All right. But the part where the street violence, the lack of opportunities, it's in every city. And we're leaders, we're not followers. So this is why we're saying that when you come, let's say if you're on 95, and one of the things that I love to see is Massachusetts welcomes you. That's the sign that you see, not welcome to Massachusetts. No, Massachusetts welcomes you. That's what the people is about for the most part. And yes, there are a few individuals that are grimy, that are crabby or whatever, but that's not who we all are. It's just a few segment. It's just one too many, but that's not who we are. So through the People's Academy, which we call TPA, that our mission, vision is to bring people together, making them employable, acknowledging their pain and suffering through this memorial piece. And like Miss Stephanie said, it's a good time for people to come together to celebrate or to grieve their loved one by making this copper leaf, by working together, by meeting other families who's going through a similar thing. It's all peace and love. There's no, egos, confrontation, because the TPA's team, students, faculty, will be on hand working together with the family members, with the friends, with the neighbors, whoever it is. A life is a life. They're all valuable to all of us. So this is what we're saying. You can go on peoplesacademyinc.org, learn more about the program. But Miss Stephanie, she's, like I said, she's leading the chart on the memorial piece, that you could contact her, have a conversation. It doesn't matter where you are in the country, because the object is to take it from Boston, like she said, and we take it throughout and share the love, the peace, and the unity that we so desperately need.
Definitely. Now, this piece that you have created, I have a question for you. What was your mind state when you was creating it? Like, what was your, because when we have a art or something that we want to create, usually our mind has to be in a certain state to make sure that the love is spread in the piece while we creating it. So what was your mind state?
For me, I've created many things. That's a great question. But that particular piece, it was, you get to the point, you're tired and you're sick and tired of seeing grieving people. And it seems to me that the leadership, the lives didn't matter. That every incident would happen. But when it came to certain people, you would look at an incident on television, on the news, a simple or serious or whatever in between. They'll have grief counselors, they will have fundraisers, they'll have all of this stuff. But then when you had the folks in the inner city, and so many lives was being taken and stolen, especially in a violent way, and no one cared. It seems like no one cared, because they couldn't take the time to designate a location. They couldn't take the time to put some things together, as a permanent sculpture or a memorial for these individuals, like their lives didn't matter. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this America? Is this who we are now? Is this how we treat a human life because they look different than others? So they said God work in mysterious ways, and I decided to, put my mind together and just came up with these different ideas and put it together. And before you know it, I reached out to organizations, and somehow people were skittish. They were like afraid. But part of it was that people are somehow skittish on People's Academy and Team Michael because of, if they figured, I guess, if you open one door, it'll open other doors that's connected. And I started out with doing the training component to make people employable. But I've also have done other things, as long as it's to preserve and better humanity and mankind. But somehow it seems like if they work with me with one thing, it exposes what I started with, which was making people employable. To address the recidivism and the homelessness and the whole everything. So they figured if we work with him with this, it's going to allow him to do all these other things, and which to me is completely ignorant and selfish and arrogant. So, but God work in mysterious ways. So when one door is closed, many more is open.
Of course.
And eventually TPA will get out, will flourish to the level it deserves, because the sole purpose is to comforting, changing, and bettering human lives. Period.
And you can't stop something like that.
Period.
A movement so powerful, it can't be stopped. So it's like, people, instead of stopping and just join. Just join. Come on board. Don't waste your energy being negative. Be positive.
Right,
and
Pastor
just join. You can't
Hobbs,
stop it. You can't
show
stop
a little
it.
bling. That's how we do our thing,
There you
I
go.
gotta join the
Right?
copper clean.
That's right. It's there. Just
Absolutely.
choose the one you want. But that's how we do it. That's how we identify with others. Like when I saw the Congresswoman Ayanna maybe about a month ago on a Sunday, she's like, T. Michael, I still have the earrings you made me.
Nice.
And I also run into other individuals, like the folks at Mam Leo. Everyone has their bracelet. Finally, the creator of this program, the radio station, finally paid a visit.
Pastor Bruce?
Pastor Bruce,
Okay.
Pastor Hobbs have his always.
Absolutely.
But I've seen where people have been out places, whether they're an attorney or a police officer or lawyer or judge or whoever, that they would see someone with a bracelet and like, I know who you know.
Right? The trademark, right?
Trademark.
There you
The
go.
Copper Man,
That's
Yep.
right.
People's Academy. And it's a way that folks identify their affiliations with People's Academy,
Absolutely.
as well as the trades and that triggers.
Uh-huh.
Someone would be wearing it in other states, and they're like, you know T. Michael? You know People's Academy? Yeah. All affiliated. So it's all positive stuff.
Absolutely.
We're not about promoting separatism or racism or all the schisms. We're about, again, bringing people together, making them employable, the preservation of humanity. That's what we're about.
Can't go wrong with that. I'm definitely a strong advocate for it in so many different ways. The trade, not triggers. Like, that's trades, not triggers.
Right.
Like, the power of your hands,
Yes.
you have options, and when you're provided with those resources, you want to go for the options that's really gonna put you in a better place, in so many different ways. So when I hear trade, not triggers, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's clear as day. Like, learn something to do with your hands, put your mind to work, do something that's going to benefit the whole. not take away, because we don't need any more takeaways. We need all add-ons. We need all add-ons and ways to build an add-on. And actually, you're building more because you're learning a trade to build to something else. So you're literally mentally building, physically building, emotionally building. It's like, how can you go wrong? Like, how? I don't understand.
What about, to add to what you're saying, what about a person who has worked on some of these projects that they can drive around the city? And for me personally, I could go in any direction within a block or two, no, within a block or four, and I could personally identify something that I've physically put my hands on. Let's take Codman Square. That's community center or whatever that is. Did the copper gutters there and stuff like that.
Wow.
That's just the start. I could go to Mattapan Square, to Milton, the Parkway, right around the corner. Other projects there. I could go on, any direction. So the students of People's Academy, they now have that ability. Go to Dorchester Ave and River Street, few buildings down. Same thing. Freeland Street, right off of River Street. So look at the self of pride that the students and the folks who's been through or affiliated with, that they can drive around the city anywhere and say, look at what we have done. You know, their kids now, they're taking their kids.
The
See
pride
what
that
I
comes
did?
with
See
it.
what mommy and daddy did? Look at the pride, the self-pride. Now, when you have people like that, less chances of them destroying it. Look at the benefit that it creates, the community that it creates. So far with People's Academy, have you seen any negativity to this point of what it's trying to expand to do to the city? Have you seen any negative parts of it?
Not at all. So I have a hard time when someone actually tells me something that sounds a little negative, and I just say, where did that come from? So a lot of times information gets passed on from he say, she say. But if you haven't made the opportunity, because it's open, right, Team Michaels? They can stop by, right?
And just call.
So if you haven't had the opportunity to stop by and see what's going on, how much can you really speak upon it? Because I can have my opinion, and of course I've actually been there a couple of times, actually participated in a couple of activities. So I'm actually, I would say, well informed on how powerful it is. So when someone can speak something against it, my question is to them is, how much knowledge do you have of it? Because if it's just based off my opinion, that's not enough. My opinion is not enough. You need to go and see it for yourself. And you need to be involved so you can learn and be able to share the information to other people, because that's how powerful it is. So if you're sitting around and you're thinking, I never heard of People's Academy. What's the next step? How do I get involved? How do I learn more about People's Academy? How do I pass this message on that could benefit my sister, brother, mother, father, cousin? How do I learn more? So how? That's my question.
Well, people can go on peoplesacademyinc.org. peoplesacademyinc.org. All of my information is on there. My email, my personal cell number. You know, like Miss Stephanie just said, we need to stop going by hearsay, because there are a lot of it is rolling around, and it's okay for you to reach out to me, pay us a visit, and see, even if it doesn't benefit you or someone close to you, but if you think it will benefit or change someone's life in the right direction, let's have a conversation. And it's no disrespect to any other programs, because there's no programs that are doing what we're doing. Not the same thing. And we're willing to work with other programs. We do work with other programs. We do work with other organizations. But if we want a solution, let's stop name calling. Let's stop throwing each other under the bus and talking. And because we have a personal vendetta, for whatever reason it is, it's not changing or bettering things. The only way we can if we want something to be done in the right direction, let's put all differences aside. You and I might not might not agree with eating the same foods or walking on the same side of the street, for whatever that is. But you know what? There's no reason why we can't come together to make a difference in bettering things. And that's what TPA is about. That's what T. Michael is about. That's what the folks who's part of People's Academy is about, is the betterment of bettering the community. Let's stop. We all know there is issues, but you know what? Let's sit down and work on solutions. What part can we play? What can we do to make things better for us and the next generation to come? And that's my next question to you, Miss Stephanie. The next generation to come, what do you think we can do to get the leadership to address and come up with solutions? What do you think we should do?
Wow, that's a
Trick
very
question.
trick question. There's so much we can do, but when you
Yes.
talk about leadership needs to just come out and lead.
Yes.
Let your face be known. Get out in the community. Interact with the youth. Sometimes it gets tricky because the youth shut down because in their mind state they think that we can't relate
Right.
to what they're going through.
Yes.
And yeah, we are in a different time zone. I always tell the children, yeah, it's different, but guess what? You're actually copying everything that we did in the 80s and 90s. You're doing it now. And
Yep.
why? Because it was cool. So stop it.
Right.
But for the leadership,
Exactly.
get out there, be cool. Let them know you're cool. Let them know you're a human being.
And willing
Because
to listen to
willing
them.
to listen. Because
Yes.
sometimes we get caught
Yes.
up in titles
Yes.
and we think, oh, well, she or he is this type of way, and I can't relate to that. Learn their
Yep.
story. I think for the youth too out there, learn their stories. Educate yourself on who they are and their background. A lot of them was your father's neighbors, your own neighbors. A lot of them are watching you grow up. Or they know your grandmother, they know your grandfather. I think Boston is big, but Boston is so small.
And the sacrifice that some of the people before us had made, that why we're able to do the things we're doing. I remembered as a kid walking around, if you weren't in a group and a certain groups will drive by, they will jump you because of the color of your skin. So now those days are all over because the people before us made certain sacrifices. It's like voting. People were hit with water hoses, bitten by dogs, lynched, shot, kicked, everything, raped, for us to have the right to vote. People, come on. We weren't. Some of these millennials need to get their heads off of the screen and step back and check themselves and say, listen, you don't have to do these typical everyday following things. You have a mind of your own. So the attitudes and the entitlement, come on, step back, check yourself, and listen to some of the elders, because things you're thinking about, they're trying to forget. Like you just said, it's everything works in a cycle. The dressing, the attitude, we all were there at one time or another. So tell me, Miss Stephanie, do you think that if we get young and old and middle in a room, do you think that would be a good idea to put some solutions on the table that might address some of our needs or issues that we have?
Of course. Because if we're all separated and we're all saying, well, we're over here in the youth and we're over here in the middle age and we're in the elderly, how can I hear what the youth issues are if I'm not in the room with them?
Right.
How can I provide them the resources that I may have or somebody else may have if I'm not in the room with them? And it goes for every age level. The youth need to know the needs of the elderly because that's their responsibility. I always tell my young people, I know what you think you're responsible for, but let me add something else. Our responsibility is to take care of our elderly. That's our responsibility. And one simple way that I tell young people by taking care of them is hearing them out. Sometimes an elderly person just want to know that someone's listening.
Right.
And you're helping them. You're providing a resource for them. And then the elderly is adding on to the knowledge of the youth so that they can tell them, this was the history. We need you guys to do better. We support you. So they need to hear from each other. So it has to happen for us to be in a room together so we can hear each other out. Because if I'm not in a room with young people and I'm just assuming what their struggles are or what they lack or what they need, how powerful is that? Because I'm assuming I need to hear their voice. And young people, I can congratulate a lot of young people now. I hear a lot of young people speaking out, and that's very brave of them. And they're learning from the elderly people how to articulate yourself in a way that you can be heard. Because you can yell and scream, but a lot of people is not going to listen to that. So how can we educate them how to articulate themselves and get their voice heard in the right way? And not only that, we hear you, but we can't ignore you.
Right. One of the things that I've seen personally that at TPA in our conference room, we were having a discussion with a couple of millennials, and a couple of them were under the impression that, well, I'm supposed to be defiant because this is the time for millennials. I'm like, no, you're a follower. You're smarter than that. You're more articulate than that, and you don't have to take that negative road to be defiant and be divisive and to be, have this attitude because it's supposed to be the era of it. No, it's not. No, it's not. And I think if some of them, they're so intelligent and creative that if they would channel, and I was trying to tell a couple of them, channel that energy into, instead of being defiant, being more inclusive in the way how you interact with people and sharing your knowledge and your creativity with others, opposed to just bucking and fighting and no, I have to be defiant because I'm a millennial. No, you don't. You're doing other people's bidding that want you to be disruptive and be negative, and then at the end of the day they turn around, incarcerate you, and make money off of you. And that's what I call systemic poverty pimping.
And that's exactly what it is, unfortunately. And I think when you're talking about the attitude and the behaviors of young people and how they feel like they have to continue a legacy, sometimes of their uncles or aunts, because this is what they've seen. So they think that that's the common. So how do we put them in a space where they can know that that's not okay? And if you plan to be successful or plan to be heard or plan to put your creativity in a good plan, how do you conduct yourself?
Well,
so those are lessons that, again, everything has to be taught. I feel everything has to be taught. You have 5 senses, and those all as well teach you, but everything has to be taught. So how do we provide the space where we can teach them the importance of how to handle situations? Because that's, again, our young people don't know how to handle confrontation.
Well, that's a good point, Miss Stephanie. I think that, this is my personal opinion, I think that more people, especially the individuals who financially are in a position to make a difference, needs to step up. There was this young brother on where I live, in the Upham's Corner area, and he saw me out there sweeping the street all around, and he said, "You know something, man? I got to give you credit. You're one of the few that takes the time to talk to these kids and try to encourage them to get them into what you're doing." He said all he sees, him and his mans and them hanging on the block, is these other dudes pulling up in nice cars, going in and out, and is not trying to work and tell them the path that they took to get off the streets. He said, and that's what it's going to take, that individuals who whether it could be whatever job it's on, a career, share that information with a few others. They're not there trying to steal your job. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your financing or your home. Take that few minutes. 10 of them might not listen, but 12 or 13 or 11 might just do that. And that's even if you reach to 1, 3, or how many. So 15 of them or 10 of them might say, you know what, I'm not interested. But at least 1 or 2 would.
Be,
but you
yeah.
also teach one to teach the other one.
That's right.
And I've been doing, and that's what it's going to take. So for those of us, you know who you are. You have you have a successful career, a good, decent paying job. You know, you have good businesses or whatever it is. You're a landlord. Show another person how to get there. You know what I'm saying? You were a kid once. You had attitude. You weren't a perfect kid. None of us were. The problem is, or not problem, the situation is some of us never got caught. So let's be real, people. That's real. You know what I'm saying? That's real talk.
And that's what people are afraid of. And the real talk. What's really the issue? Like, what is really the issue? And we avoid that because, again, fear. Because if you don't know how to solve the problem, you're like, I'm just going to stay away from it. You know, and so when you're dealing with young people, I hear older people say, oh, they're so rude and disrespectful. I'm actually scared of them. Again, I hear the fear. And it's just like, we cannot be scared of them.
Correct.
At all. Like, that's not even a position that you should even be in or even say that you're in. Yet we have a lot of things that's somewhat working against us when you have certain social medias, when everything is on televised, the phone is being used constantly. They're seeing all type of ways of somewhat reality TV when that's not real. The stuff is not real. A lot of it's made up. So they're watching these things and they're thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to handle this problem when I get into this altercation. And things are going to happen. And I think, again, the number one key as an educator and a teacher for 14 years, I always made sure my students knew how to get a hold of themselves. And what did that mean? And they used to always say, I used to say, check yourself. Before you get check your energy. Pretty much. Check yourself. Where's your energy at before you step in this classroom? And let us know where your energy is at so we know how to handle you. But that takes time and that takes... So when I come across my students now who are adults, they know how to check themselves. Like, I watch them in a room. They know how to check themselves because it's been constantly proving to them that it works. Because if I check my energy and I know that I'm off, give me a couple of minutes to put it back in check, because we're human beings. We're going to get off track. And one way of getting back on track is taking the time just to breathe.
Yeah.
Sometimes breathing saves your lives as well as other people's lives. I tell people all the time, I'm breathing, let me breathe.
Right.
And it helps. But then teaching the importance of what breathing is really doing.
Correct.
You know, and again, it's back to educating. The more educated we are, the better choices we can make, and the more we can use our resources. Because you can bring somebody, I think about People's Academy all the time, and I say, you know, we could have someone who's been incarcerated, have great intentions, want to get involved, but have certain characteristics or aspects that is going to make it tricky for them because they've been incarcerated for a while. So now we start dealing with mental health. Like, are you prepared? If you are on a job and someone says something to you that you don't like, how are you going to handle it?
Yeah.
So when I think about People's Academy, it's like, oh, we got to make sure we have training in this area. We got to make sure we offer training in this area. It can't just be come in and learn this trade and go to work.
Correct.
You have to know and be taught, because you've been away for a while, how to handle yourself. And everything that you've been taught already, some is right and some is wrong. And I think about when people say, oh, you have all the right answers. No, it's not about the right answers. It's like, what's worked for me?
Correct.
What's worked for me? So you have to learn what works for you. Because even though I said breathing works for me, maybe you're the person that says, you know what, I'm upset, I need to walk away. You're verbalizing it. So what works for you so that you can make the best choices for you? Because at the end of the day, it's about self-growth first. First and foremost is self-growth, family growth, community, neighborhood, and then we start reaching out to statewide. But you have to deal with self first, and that's what we're avoiding. And so when you're on the phone a lot and you're looking at other people's lives, you're avoiding yourself. You're avoiding your life. So it's necessary for people to take a look. And when you look at people who are incarcerated, they have that time. But they don't have the confrontations of the outside world that's impacting their thoughts.
Correct.
You know, and your movement. Yeah, we're constantly moving out here. And they're somewhat stuck, a lot stuck. So they have to read books. They have to get their mind to explore what the outside world may look like. So it's our job, too, as they're in there, to educate them. Because when they come home, like they said, it's lack of resources.
Right. No, those are some very, very valid points. And the resources, it always comes back to resources, opportunities, by someone just giving you a chance. Because let's be real, everyone was given a chance one way or another. Others was never given a chance. Especially when you have a system created and designed to keep their boots on the back of your neck. Think about that. But then you have an individual that was fortunate enough to get a way out. Be a human being. Send the elevator down so that someone else can get a ride up.
That's right.
Come on, people. Let's be real. No one made it on their own. Someone had to have given you an opportunity. Yes, you paid your way through college. You worked odds and end jobs. But at least you were given an opportunity to sign up for college, to be able to get a job that you could pay for college, even if it was 3, 4, 5 jobs. But someone gave you an opportunity to work. They didn't have to give you that job. It's the same thing as me. They didn't have to let me into the union, but I got in, and I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot watching people before me on television, on the news, newspapers, on the streets, sitting there saying, we want to see more of this and this. We want to see more of that. Affirmative action. I'm a product of affirmative action. So I never forgot. And that's also that helped prompt and motivate me to do People's Academy, to turn around and teach a person what I was taught so that they could take that skill set and go out and take care of themselves, their community, and their family. So that's just one aspect. But all of us have a way that, or a career or a job that we do. Share that information. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to kill you.
It's a land of opportunities.
Correct.
There's an opportunity for everyone. That's the beauty of life. There's an opportunity. So we waste so much time worrying about how this person's getting ahead that it takes away from your energy to figure out how you can get ahead, because everybody has an opportunity. You have to put in the work. You have to put yourself in a certain position to carry through the opportunity, but we all have opportunities. And it hurts for me to sometimes to see people who actually have the chance to help and they don't. So I always wonder what's their mind frame. And I always say they have to go into self, because a lot of it is usually they don't feel comfortable with themselves. Because when I walk in a room, what am I holding on to? I know who I am, and I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know that I can provide the resources because I don't have nothing to worry about, because when I leave out of here, there's going to be plenty more resources.
Can I tell you something about me personally? I get all kinds of motivation and joy in watching when I pass and I teach someone what I do and how they flourish from it. And for me, I've created just about everything out of copper. And I've done stuff up against the best of the best of the best. And I will let you tell them what they said to me afterwards, that they said your initials makes perfect sense. TMT, too much talent. And these are folks that don't even look like me. I could show you tapes. But it's more rewarding when I see my own students that when they create something, I'm like, it brings this joy and this, it gives you this strength and this motivation. And for me personally, folks don't realize that, you know what, one of the things that motivates me a lot to create is when I hear negativity towards me. And if folks only knew that that's one of my biggest motivational tool, is when I hear something negative about who I am, what I'm doing, and I just go down in the lab and it's like, boom!
There you go. Here's some more to talk about.
Yeah, right. And folks will be like, the students and other supporters will be like, oh, that's ill. How'd you... They're like, someone must have been talking about you. I was like, you could tell, huh?
You gotta give credit where credit's due, but that says a lot about an individual when they can do that. You gotta give credit where credit's due. And I see a lot more now, people walking around and saying, you know what, congratulations, like, great job, like, I'm so proud of you. And those simple words can inspire and change somebody's mind state, you know, or even just saying, you can do it, like, just simple, like, you can do it. I've been in a classroom with students and saying just those simple words, you can do it, and they'll look at me like, you think I know so, but you have to know it. Because you can do it. Confidence.
Yes, self-confidence.
And is that something, so we have always a conversation about, is that self-confidence and self-pride, is that something that can be taught? Like,
yes, it can.
So you start with your parents, you know, the things that your parents told you, oh, you're smart, or you're this. Is that adding on to your self-pride? Of course.
Well, for me, my mother have always encouraged me to help others. Always, as a kid, always. And I've seen, like I'm saying, so as a kid, people are like, you've always, but that's what it's been. It's always been like that. And so it's easy for me, secondary, to say, you know, I'll help this one, I'll work with that one. As long as they have the willingness and the motivation and the willingness, basically, to be a person that would be receptive. And I'm a good listener. I'm a good talker sometimes, but I'm also a good listener to give folks that space to be themselves, but to understand or try to understand their everyday struggles and things like that. But I know we're coming up on the hour on Boston Praise Radio and TV. This is the Mamleo Show. And Miss Stephanie, I will give you let's split the time, 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for providing this opportunity, Team Michaels, as well as Boston Praise Radio. It's been a pleasure. It's highly necessary. We talked about a lot, you know, and it's very powerful when you can talk about so much. And the bottom line is, do the knowledge, get involved, and give back. That's it. Do the knowledge, get involved, and give back. If you're doing those three things, you will succeed and you will gain a lot of support.
Yes. And she said it. I couldn't say it any better. But this is the Mamleo Show on Boston Praise Radio and TV. I'm T. Michael Thomas, the founder of the People's Academy. You can learn more about People's Academy on going on peoplesacademyinc.org or following us on Instagram on the Build Out on Quincy and Warren Street. Also, the memorial piece that Miss Stephanie would be heading up with the city, with the family members, the organizations. Reach out to us. Let's get involved. Let's make a difference, or at least try to. No one is too rich that they don't need help, or too poor that they cannot help someone else. So think of the People's Academy, the city of Boston, the American people, your family members, your neighbors, your friends, and even the ones you despise. Let's put our differences aside and try to make a difference. This is Boston Praise Radio and TV, 102.9 FM. Thank you, and thank you for being part of the Mamleo Show. And I know it's cold out there, but it's all right. dress warm, do the right thing, think positive. TPA in Boston, have a good day, and thank you for allowing us to be part of